I don't even know how to start this, but I need to warn someone before it's too late. If you're traveling to Japan, especially if you love gacha machines, you need to read this. Please, for your own safety, don't ignore this. I thought I was just bringing home a cute souvenir. I was wrong. I might have brought something else with me, something that wants me dead. I visited Japan last year for a short trip. It was my dream vacation. Neon streets in Shibuya, vending machines on every corner, ramen that tasted like heaven. I was traveling alone, which was fine with me. I like doing things at my own pace, and Japan felt safe enough. But on my last night in Tokyo, I stumbled across a gacha row tucked in a narrow alley near an older part of town. You know those capsule toy machines lined up side by side? They were stacked 3 high, stretching the entire length of the alley. Most of them were normal, anime keychains, Pokemon, tiny food replicas. But one machine stood out. It was older, scratched up, with paint flaking off the sides. Unlike the others, it didn't have colorful posters advertising the prizes. Instead, taped to the front was a faded piece of paper with an off-looking Mickey Mouse printed on it. His ears were uneven, his eyes too large, his smile stretched unnaturally wide, almost human-like. Something about it gave me chills, but I brushed it off. I figured it was just some knockoff Disney thing. I almost walked past, but my curiosity got the better of me. I had a handful of 100 yen coins left, so I thought, why not? I turned the crank. The capsule that dropped was black. Not colorful like the others, just plain black plastic. Inside was a small keychain of that same distorted Mickey Mouse. His smile looked even wider in person. His tiny plastic eyes were glossy, almost wet-looking. I laughed it off. Creepy Mickey, I muttered, tossing it into my backpack. That was mistake number 1. The first thing happened at Haneda Airport the next morning. As I was going through security, the bag scanner beeped. The staff pulled me aside, pointing at my backpack. They opened it, rummaged through, then froze when they pulled out the keychain. Their faces went pale. They exchanged a look, whispering in Japanese. I couldn't understand. Then, without another word, they handed it back and waved me through. That should have been a red flag. But I was tired, ready to go home, and thought maybe they just didn't like counterfeit stuff. On the plane, things got worse. About halfway through the flight, turbulence hit. Not unusual, but this was violent. The plane shook so hard oxygen masks dropped down. People screamed. Luggage fell from the overhead bins. I gripped the seat in panic when something caught my eye. The keychain had slipped out of my backpack and onto the floor, and I swear to God, its head turned. Not from the turbulence, not rolling, turning. Its little glossy eyes shifted to look right at me. My blood went cold. I kicked it under the seat, but the entire rest of the flight, I couldn't stop feeling watched. We landed safely. I tried to convince myself it was just stress and imagination. But on the drive home from the airport, the driver kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror. At first, I thought he was just being polite. Then I realized he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at my backpack. When we pulled up to my house, he refused the tip I offered. His hands shook as he set my suitcase down. In broken English, he muttered, "Throw away now, or it follow." Before I could ask what he meant, he got back in the car and sped away. That night, I unpacked. The keychain was buried at the bottom of my bag. Part of me wanted to throw it away right then, but another part of me thought I was overreacting. It was just a toy, just cheap plastic. I left it on my desk and went to bed. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up to the sound of scratching. Slow, deliberate scratching, coming from the desk. I froze, my eyes adjusting in the dark. The keychain was no longer sitting upright. It was lying on its side, closer to the edge of the desk. I hadn't touched it. Heart pounding, I grabbed it and shoved it in a drawer. The scratching stopped, but I couldn't sleep after that. The next morning, I noticed something even worse. Tiny scratches on the wood of my desk, as if little hands had been clawing their way forward. At this point, I should have gotten rid of it, burned it, crushed it, something. But I didn't, because that night, I finally understood what the taxi driver meant. I woke up again at 3:17 a.m. This time, the scratching wasn't at my desk. It was at my bedroom door. And when I looked, something small and black was crawling underneath the gap, dragging itself toward me. I didn't scream when I saw it crawling under the door. My body locked up, my throat dry, my brain refusing to believe what I was seeing. The thing was no bigger than a rat, dragging its shiny black body across the floor, its distorted Mickey face glistening in the faint moonlight. I slammed the drawer shut where I had hidden the keychain earlier, but the sound made the crawling stop. For a moment, I thought maybe it had vanished. Maybe I was dreaming. But then came the noise, plastic clicking, like cheap toy joints bending and snapping. I grabbed my phone for light, shining it toward the floor, and it was gone. Only the faint trail of scratches marked where it had been. I didn't sleep at all that night. The moment the sun rose, I stuffed the keychain into a shoebox, taped it shut, and threw it into the outside trash bin. I told myself it was over, that I was safe, that I just had a breakdown from stress and lack of rest. But by the next night, I knew I hadn't gotten rid of it at all. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the scratching returned, not at the desk, not at the door. This time, it came from inside the room, right beside my bed. My heart nearly gave out when I turned my head and saw the shoebox I had thrown away sitting on the floor, its tape torn open from the inside. I screamed and bolted out of the room, running into the living room and flipping on every light I could. My phone buzzed violently in my hand. It was a message, though I had no signal and no open apps. The screen displayed words in Japanese. I couldn't fully understand, but the translation app gave me enough. Don't let it collect your shadow. I stayed awake until morning, paranoid of every corner, every shadow that moved in my apartment. I called a Japanese coworker of mine later that day, begging him to translate the message more carefully. He hesitated before answering, his voice trembling when he finally said, "It means if it takes your shadow, you die." That night, I didn't dare stay home. I booked a cheap hotel nearby, thinking maybe distance would help. But even there, at 3:17 a.m. sharp, the scratching began. The hotel's mirror reflected something that wasn't me. Behind my shoulder, a tiny Mickey-shaped figure was standing, head tilted, watching. By then, I was desperate. I searched online for anything about cursed gachas in Tokyo, distorted Mickeys, black capsules. I found nothing. No forums, no warnings, no creepypastas. It was like the machine didn't exist. The only thing I found was a single blurry photo on an obscure Japanese message board. A picture of the same machine I'd used, with comments underneath saying, "Don't touch it." I realized it wasn't just about throwing it away. This thing was bound to me now. The scratching, the shadow, the messages, they weren't random. They were steps, part of something I didn't want to reach the end of. I had to find a way to stop it before 3:17 came again. So I retraced my steps. I called in sick, bought a return ticket, and flew back to Japan within a week. The moment I landed, my body felt heavier, as if the air itself wanted to drag me into the ground. I followed my memory through Tokyo's twisting alleys until I found it, the row of gacha machines, waiting like nothing had changed. But the cursed one wasn't there. In its place was just a broken stand, the machine long removed. A small offering sat where it used to be, a candle, incense, and a piece of paper with Japanese writing. My hands shook as I asked a passing old man what it said. He only shook his head and muttered, It's sealed for now. I didn't stay long. I felt eyes on me from every shadow, felt the weight of something angry that I had come back. That night, before leaving Japan, I threw the keychain into a river near the city outskirts. I didn't watch it sink. I just prayed it wouldn't find its way back. When I got home, I burned every bag, every piece of clothing I had taken to Japan. For weeks, I slept with the lights on, terrified of hearing that scratching sound again. It hasn't come back, not yet. But sometimes at exactly 3:17 a.m., I wake up anyway, certain something is watching me from the dark. So if you're reading this, take my warning seriously. If you ever come across a black capsule in an old gacha machine with a distorted Mickey Mouse on it, walk away. Don't touch it. Don't be curious. Because I was lucky enough to survive, but you might not be. And if you already have one, don't wait until 3:17. Thank you for tuning in. Please leave a like and subscribe. I will see you again next week.